This video is brought to you by EWC Controls, the best controls for forced air zoning on the market. Find out more at ewccontrols.com. I think that everybody who has a gas furnace out there will realize that their house gets very dry in the wintertime. Now, the question I want to answer today, what I want to take a look at is, does the gas furnace actually remove moisture out of a house? How does it get so dry inside? What I think we need to do is take a look at the psychrometric chart. Everybody just goes, ooh, it's going to be okay. This is a simplified version of the psychrometric chart, and it's going to go a long way for explaining why the air becomes so dry or has a low relative humidity while you're running your gas furnace. So here's our psychrometric chart. Now, we're missing a lot of stuff here. We're trying to keep it really, really simple for the purpose of explaining this particular theory. So if we have a dry bulb temperature, you see down at the bottom of the screen, we have dry bulb temperatures ranging from 40 to 120. On the right side, we have humidity ratio, little curved lines throughout the chart. You see 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%. That's our relative humidity. Then you have our wet bulb on the left curve of the chart. So we're going to take a normal condition. Let's say 70 degrees at 50% humidity. We don't have 50, so we're going to go down to 40. So we're going to be right here on the chart, right on this line right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that air that's at 40% humidity, relative humidity, and 70 degrees dry bulb through a gas furnace. And let's say that that air comes out with a 50-degree rise, which means it's going to be 120. So on the far right of our chart, we've gone from 70 all the way to 120, and we're going to go in a straight line. The reason why we're going in a straight line is because we're neither taking moisture out of the air and we're not putting moisture back into the air unless we have a humidifier. But for the purpose of this discussion, we're ignoring the humidifier. So we're warming the air but keeping the same moisture content. So it's going in 70 degrees, 40% relative humidity. Now, if we go straight across here in the most unscientific way, we reach this point about right here. So we're right on the 120 line, but as you see, because we went straight across, we're no longer on the 40% curve. We're not even on the 20% curve. We are somewhere between 0 and 20%. If we're sort of going to extrapolate where we're at based on just a rough idea, if 0 is the corner there and 20% is that curve, then we're probably somewhere around 12, 13%, 14% maybe. So our relative humidity has dropped from 40% at 70 degrees dry bulb. And because the furnace is neither acquiring more moisture or removing moisture, the content is the same. So what is different? The specific volume of the air is different. As air gets warmer and warmer, it expands. It can actually hold more moisture. But because our moisture content didn't change, the percentage of moisture that is in the air compared to its capability has dropped because this expanded warm air can hold more water, but the same amount of water is there, to put it very simply. So we've gone from a relative humidity of 40% down to below 20%, down to our nosebleed section. If you guys are like me in the wintertime, you'll wake up in the morning with nosebleeds because here we have heat pumps. We don't have gas furnaces. We would have the same problem right here. It may not be as pronounced because it doesn't get as cold here, so we don't run the heating system as much. It tends to be a little bit more humid where I'm at because we're close to the ocean, so we have that going for us. But in the wintertime, it still gets very dry because we have the same effect. So let's take a look one more time on the chart and see what a heat pump might put out and see how that differs from a gas furnace as far as that supply air. So we're going to start right there on 70 again, which is 40% humidity. That's where we're at. If you need to measure something different, if it's 60%, of course, you can start there. If it's 20%, you can start there. But we're going to start right here on the same spot. 70 degrees dry bulb, 40% relative humidity. But let's say we only go to 90. We only rise 20 degrees. Now, heat pump typically does a little bit better than that unless it's very, very cold outside. So we'll put right in the middle there. Let's say it's 90 degrees. It might be a little bit lower, might be a little bit higher, depending on what the outdoor ambient is. So if we go straight across in my unscientific method, At 90 degrees, we're still down to 20% relative humidity. So you can see the big difference. Even if we start at 60% relative humidity at 70 right here, and we go directly across to 90, we are still roughly at the 30% humidity mark. So it's going to still seem like it's gotten drier and drier, when in all actuality, it's just the air expanding. It can now hold more moisture than it could before. It's the same theory that we use to explain why supply air and air conditioning has a higher relative humidity even after it's gone through the cooling cycle and lost some water as it condensed on the evaporator. We'll talk about that at a different time, but for this time, I'm going to kind of talk about why is it that our relative humidity drops if we add moisture, and we do need to add moisture in the form of a humidifier, especially when we have a gas furnace operating in very cold ambient conditions outside. You're going to need that extra moisture because it becomes unbearable to live in such a dry climate. Your skin hates it, your lungs hate it, and if you have certain medical conditions, it can be quite a misery. So I just want to explain that to everybody out there. Maybe we'll talk about humidifiers at a different time, but just want to focus on the supply air and its mannerisms as it goes through a fossil fuel furnace especially, but any sort of heating appliance that doesn't add water to the air is going to lower that relative humidity on the other side.